The school nurse called me at 1:12 p.m. on a Tuesday. "Mrs. Caldwell? This is Nurse Patricia from Oakwood Elementary. Your daughter Emma is running a fever of 101.5. She's complaining of dizziness and has vomited twice in the nurse's office. She needs to be picked up immediately." My stomach dropped. I was 40 minutes across town at my job as an office manager for Bennett & Associates, trapped in a quarterly review meeting with Mr. Hendricks, a man who believed that having a sick child was a character flaw, not an emergency. I excused myself, my cheeks burning as 12 sets of eyes followed me out of the conference room. Outside in the hallway, my hands shook as I scrolled through my contacts. My apartment was too far. My neighbor Laura worked until 5. My co-worker Jenna was out of town. That left one option. My mother lived exactly 11 minutes from Oakwood Elementary. I called her cell. It rang 4 times before she answered. "Hi, sweetheart." Her voice was pleasant, distracted. I could hear the television in the background, her afternoon soap opera. "Mom, I need your help. Emma's sick at school. She has a fever and she's been throwing up. The nurse says she needs to go home right away. I'm stuck at work and I can't." "Megan." Her tone shifted, cooled. "I have plans this afternoon." "Plans?" My voice cracked. "Mom, she's 7 years old and she's sick. Please. I just need you to pick her up and stay with her until I can get there. I'll leave as soon as this meeting ends. 2 hours, tops." Silence stretched between us like a wire pulled too tight. Then she said the words that would split my world in half. "I'm not your babysitter, Megan. You chose to have a child. That's your responsibility, not mine." The line went dead. I stood there in the fluorescent hallway, phone still pressed to my ear, wondering if I'd heard her correctly. I called back. Voicemail. I texted, "Mom, please. She's sick and scared and waiting." No response. I begged Mr. Hendricks to let me leave. He gave me a look that said my employment was hanging by a thread, and told me I had until the end of the day to sort out my priorities. I drove 90 miles an hour down Route 45, my heart hammering against my ribs. When I pulled into the Oakwood Elementary parking lot 2 hours and 17 minutes later, my daughter was sitting on the curb outside the main entrance. Alone. She was hugging her backpack against her chest like it could keep her warm. Her cheeks were flushed bright red. Her lips had no color at all. She looked so small sitting there, shivering in her pink hoodie. The school secretary stood nearby, arms crossed, clearly annoyed. "She couldn't reach anyone on the emergency contact list except you," the woman said sharply. "Next time, make sure we have updated numbers." I didn't respond. I couldn't speak past the lump in my throat. I wrapped Emma in my coat, buckled her into my Honda Civic, and drove home in silence. My mother didn't call. She didn't text. She didn't apologize. And I didn't argue with her. I did something much quieter. Something that would make her panic 3 days later. My name is Megan Caldwell. I'm 34 years old, and I've been a single mother for 7 years. For most of my life, I believed that needing help was the same as being weak. My mother taught me that. Growing up in our house on Maple Street, love wasn't something freely given. It was earned. You got affection when you made the honor roll, when you cleaned your room without being asked, when you smiled through your sadness and made things easy for everyone else. If you cried, you were dramatic. If you needed comfort, you were coddled. If you asked for help, you were a burden. My mother, Barbara Ann Thornton, was the kind of woman who kept a spotless house and a cold heart. She volunteered at church every Sunday, baked perfect lemon bars for the PTA, and smiled brilliantly at everyone who mattered. But behind closed doors, she was different. When I was 9 and broke my wrist falling off my bike, she drove me to the hospital in silence. At the ER, she told the nurse, "She's clumsy. Always has been." No hand-holding. No reassurance. Just irritation that I'd inconvenienced her Saturday. When I was 13 and didn't make the volleyball team, I cried in my room for an hour. She opened my door, looked at me with disgust, and said, "Life is full of disappointments. Learn to handle them quietly." I learned. By 16, I'd perfected the art of needing nothing from anyone. Then I got pregnant at 25. The father, a bartender named Connor who I'd dated for 8 months, disappeared the moment I showed him the positive test. My mother's reaction was worse than his absence. "You've made your bed," she told me over coffee at her kitchen table, her voice calm and cutting. "Don't expect me to lie in it with you." But then Emma was born. Suddenly, my mother had a role she could show off. She told her friends at church that she was helping raise her granddaughter. She posted photos on Facebook with captions like "Blessed to be Grammy" and "My little angel." But the help always came with conditions. She'd babysit, if it fit her schedule. She'd pick Emma up from daycare, if I asked nicely enough. She'd come to birthday parties, if I praised her publicly for being such a devoted grandmother. For 7 years, I walked on eggshells, terrified that if I said the wrong thing or asked for too much, she'd withdraw completely and Emma would lose her only grandparent. I convinced myself that her coldness was just her personality. That deep down, she loved us. That maybe, eventually, she'd soften. I was wrong. That belief, that fragile, foolish hope, died the day Emma sat on that curb, feverish and alone, while my mother watched her soap opera 11 minutes away. That night, after I tucked Emma into bed with children's Tylenol, a cool washcloth, and her favorite stuffed elephant, I sat in my kitchen and stared at my phone. No missed calls from my mother. No texts asking if Emma was okay. Nothing. Something inside me, something I didn't even know was still breakable, finally shattered. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't send an angry text. I just stopped. Stopped calling. Stopped texting. Stopped explaining. For the first time in 34 years, I went completely silent. The next morning, Emma woke up feeling slightly better. Her fever had broken during the night, leaving her tired but no longer shivering. I made her Mickey Mouse pancakes and let her stay home from school to rest. She sat at our small kitchen table in her pajamas, drowning her breakfast in maple syrup, and said the words that nearly broke me. "Mommy, why didn't Grammy come get me?" I kept my back to her, pretending to rinse dishes in the sink so she wouldn't see my face. "I think she must not have gotten my message, sweetheart." "Oh." Emma poked at her pancakes. "Okay." She trusted me completely. That trust felt sacred and terrifying at the same time. I sent Emma to watch cartoons in the living room and checked my phone. No messages from my mother. Not even a "How is Emma feeling?" My thumb hovered over her contact name. Every instinct I developed over 34 years screamed at me to reach out first. To smooth things over. To apologize for bothering her. To make it easy for her to pretend nothing had happened. Instead, I locked my phone and put it in my purse. Day 2 of silence. My mother texted me at noon. "Did you need something yesterday?" The casual tone. The erasure of what had actually happened. The subtle implication that maybe I'd overreacted. I read the message 3 times. Then I put my phone down and made Emma lunch. No response. At 4:30 p.m., my phone rang. My mother's name lit up the screen. I watched it ring until it went to voicemail. She didn't leave a message. Day 3. The calls started earlier. First one at 9:15 a.m. Then another at 11:30. Then one at 2 p.m. while I was at work. My co-worker Jenna noticed me staring at my phone. "You okay, Meg?" "Just family stuff," I said quietly. She squeezed my shoulder. Jenna had met my mother once at Emma's kindergarten graduation. She'd watched how my mother criticized Emma's posture during the ceremony, how she'd barely acknowledged me at all. "Good for you," Jenna whispered. At 6:45 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from my Aunt Linda, my mother's younger sister. "Your mother is upset. She said you won't return her calls." What's going on? So she'd escalated. Brought in reinforcements. I didn't reply. At 10:41 p.m., my mother left her first voicemail. Her voice was tight, controlled, with an edge of something I'd never heard before. Uncertainty. "Megan, call me back. It's important. We need to talk." I listened to the message twice, then deleted it. I tucked Emma into bed, reading her 3 chapters of Charlotte's Web even though she was already asleep by chapter 2. When I finally crawled into my own bed, my phone glowed on the nightstand with 2 more missed calls. I turned it face down. Something had shifted inside me, and there was no going back. The silence wasn't strategic. It wasn't revenge. It was simply the sound of a door closing, quietly, finally, on a relationship that had been one-sided for 34 years. Tomorrow, I had one more thing to do. Something that would make my mother realize just how serious I was. On Thursday morning, I dropped Emma off at Oakwood Elementary 20 minutes early. "Can I help you with something?" The school secretary, Mrs. Fletcher, looked up from her computer. "Yes. I need to update my daughter's emergency contact forms." Mrs. Fletcher pulled up Emma's file. "Sure thing. What needs to be changed?" "I need to remove Barbara Thornton as an emergency contact." Mrs. Fletcher's fingers paused over the keyboard. She glanced up at me with that particular expression administrative staff get when they sense family drama, but know better than to ask. "And who would you like to add instead?" "Laura Mendez. She's my neighbor in apartment 4C. I slid a paper across the desk with Laura's phone number. "And Jenna Wu. She's my co-worker at Bennett & Associates." I'd already asked them both. Laura had hugged me and said, "Of course, honey." Jenna had simply nodded and said, "About damn time." Mrs. Fletcher updated the system. "All set. Is there anything else?" "One more thing. Barbara Thornton is no longer authorized to pick up my daughter under any circumstances. If she attempts to sign Emma out, please call me immediately." "Understood." Mrs. Fletcher's expression softened slightly. "We'll make a note in the system." I left the building feeling lighter than I had in years. No confrontation. No dramatic announcement. No explanation to my mother about what I'd done. Just action. Silent, protective action. The rest of Thursday passed quietly. My mother called twice. I didn't answer. Friday morning, I was deep into processing invoices at work when my cell phone rang at 10:15 a.m. Oakwood Elementary. My heart stopped. "Hello?" "Mrs. Caldwell, this is Principal Gardner. There's been an incident, but Emma is fine. Your mother attempted to sign her out of school this morning during recess. She told our office staff she was taking Emma to a dental appointment." Ice flooded my veins. A dental appointment? Emma doesn't have a dental appointment. That's what Mrs. Fletcher suspected. When your mother became insistent, Mrs. Fletcher checked the updated emergency contacts and informed her that she was no longer authorized to remove Emma from school grounds. What did my mother do? Principal Gardner's voice was carefully neutral. She became upset. She's currently sitting in the main office. She's requesting that you come down here to straighten this out. Tell her to leave. I'm sorry. My voice was steady. Calm. Tell my mother that she needs to leave school property. She is not authorized to take my daughter. If she refuses to leave, call the police. A pause. Then, understood, Mrs. Caldwell. I'll handle it from here. Thank you. I hung up and sat very still at my desk, my hand shaking. She'd actually tried to take Emma. Not because Emma needed her. Not because she was worried. But because she'd realized she'd lost control, and she was trying to force her way back in. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Principal Gardner. Your mother has left the building. Emma is safe. She's in class and unaware of the situation. I texted back, thank you. Then I turned my phone off completely. The panic, I knew, was about to begin. Friday afternoon, I picked Emma up from school like nothing had happened. She chatted about her art project, a paper mache volcano, and asked if we could stop at Target for poster board. Of course, baby. We spent an hour in Target, wandering the aisles, picking out glitter glue and construction paper. Emma was happy, safe, completely unaware that her grandmother had tried to take her from school that morning. When we got home at 5:30 p.m., I finally turned my phone back on. 37 missed calls, 14 voicemails, 23 text messages. My stomach churned as I scrolled through them. My mother, call me immediately. My mother, this is ridiculous. You're being childish. My mother, I went to Emma's school and they said I can't see her? What did you tell them? My Aunt Linda, Megan, your mother is beside herself. Please call her. My cousin Troy, hey, not sure what's going on, but Mom says Aunt Barb is really upset. And then, the voicemails. I listened to the first one. My mother's voice was sharp, angry. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but you went to Emma's school and turned them against me? How dare you? I am her grandmother. You can't just delete. The second voicemail was different. Her voice cracked. Megan, please. I don't understand what I did wrong. Why won't you talk to me? The third, I'm sorry about Tuesday, okay? Is that what this is about? You're punishing me because I didn't drop everything to pick up your daughter? Your daughter. Not our Emma. Not my granddaughter. Your daughter. The distance in those two words said everything. The fourth voicemail made me pause. It came at 9:47 p.m. My mother was crying. Raw, desperate sobs. Please, Megan. Please call me back. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I don't know what's happening. I'm scared. Please. I sat on my couch in the dark, listening to my mother fall apart. A part of me, the little girl who'd spent her whole life trying to earn her mother's love, wanted to call her back. To fix it. To make the crying stop. But I didn't. Because another part of me remembered Emma sitting on that curb, shivering and alone. I remembered being 9 with a broken wrist and hearing she's clumsy. I remembered being 13 and crying and being told to handle it quietly. I remembered being 25 and pregnant and being told you've made your bed. I set my phone down. Emma was asleep in her bedroom, her stuffed elephant tucked under her chin, safe and loved and protected. That was all that mattered. Saturday morning, the texts started again. My mother, I haven't slept in 2 days. My mother, why are you doing this to me? My mother, what do you want? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. There. Now please talk to me. I read each message carefully. Not once did she ask how Emma was feeling. Not once did she acknowledge that leaving a 6-7-year-old waiting for 2 hours might have been wrong. It was all about her pain, her confusion, her need for resolution. I didn't respond. Instead, I took Emma to the park. Saturday evening at 6:47 p.m., someone pounded on my apartment door. Emma was on the couch watching Encanto for the 100th time. She looked up, startled. It's okay, baby. Stay here. I already knew who it was. I opened the door to find my mother standing in the hallway, her face blotchy and swollen from crying. She wore the same cream-colored cardigan she'd had on for the past 3 days. Her hair, usually perfectly styled, hung limp around her shoulders. She looked destroyed. We need to talk, she said, her voice hoarse. Not here. Emma's inside. Then come out here. I stepped into the hallway and closed the door behind me. My mother immediately launched into the speech she'd clearly been rehearsing. You're being dramatic. You're punishing me for one mistake. I didn't pick Emma up on Tuesday because I was tired of being taken advantage of. You always call me last minute, expecting me to drop everything. I have a life, Megan. I have needs. I'm not responsible for raising your child just because you chose to be a single mother. Her voice got louder with each sentence, filling the narrow hallway. I didn't flinch. For the first time in my life, I didn't shrink. I said quietly, Emma is my responsibility, not yours. I understand that now. She froze, her mouth still open. What? You're right. She's my daughter. My responsibility. So I've arranged my life accordingly. I've asked people who actually care about her to be her emergency contacts. People who won't leave her sitting on a curb when she's sick. My mother's face went white. You can't shut me out of her life. I'm not shutting you out. I'm protecting her. From what? From me? Yes. The word hung between us like a stone dropped into still water. My mother's face crumpled. How can you say that? I'm her grandmother. I love her. Do you? I kept my voice steady. Because love doesn't look like what you did on Tuesday. Love doesn't leave a 7-year-old waiting in the cold because you're tired of being taken advantage of. I didn't realize she was that sick. I told you she had a 101.5 fever. I told you she'd vomited twice. What did you think sick meant? Silence. Then she tried another approach, her voice breaking. Why didn't you call me again? Why didn't you text me more? Why didn't you explain how serious it was? I looked directly at her. I did. More silence. You want to know why I stopped calling? I continued. Because I'm tired, Mom. I'm tired of begging you to care. I'm tired of managing your feelings while my daughter waits for adults to act like adults. I'm just tired. Tears streamed down her face. What do you want from me? Nothing. Nothing. I want you to decide what kind of grandmother you want to be. If you want to be in Emma's life, really in it, then show up. Not when it's convenient. When she needs you. And if you can't do that, then we'll keep our distance. That's it. Are you giving me an ultimatum? No. I'm giving you a choice. 3 weeks later, Emma had her second-grade musical performance at Oakwood Elementary. I didn't invite my mother, but she came anyway. I spotted her the moment I walked into the school auditorium, sitting alone in the back row, hands folded in her lap, looking small and uncertain. My first instinct was anger. She hadn't been invited. This was my space with Emma. But then I saw her face. No criticism waiting. No judgment in her eyes. Just hope. I didn't wave. I didn't go over to her. I simply found my seat in the third row next to Laura and Jenna. The lights dimmed. 23 second graders filed onto the stage wearing construction paper crowns and cardboard swords. Emma stood in the front row, her face glowing under the stage lights. They sang A Million Dreams from The Greatest Showman, slightly off-key but enthusiastic. Emma's eyes scanned the audience. She found me first and waved. Then she saw my mother in the back. Her whole face lit up. "Grammy," she mouthed. My mother smiled, really smiled, and waved back with tears streaming down her face. After the performance, Emma ran to me first, throwing her arms around my waist. "Did you see me, Mommy? You were perfect, baby. I'm so proud of you." Then she looked past me toward the back of the auditorium. "Is Grammy here?" I turned. My mother was making her way slowly through the crowd, looking nervous. "Yeah, she's here." Emma bolted toward her. My mother crouched down, her bad knee must have hurt, and hugged Emma tightly. "You were wonderful, sweetheart," she said, her voice thick. "I didn't know you were coming." Emma beamed. "I wouldn't miss it," my mother said softly. Then she stood up, slowly, and looked at me. We stared at each other across 10 feet of scuffed auditorium floor. Finally, she walked over. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for not stopping her from talking to me. I would never do that. This is about you and me, not you and Emma." My mother nodded. Her hands were shaking. "Can we talk?" "Not now. But soon. Maybe." "Okay." She took a breath. "I've been seeing someone. A therapist. Dr. Morrison at the Family Counseling Center on Oak Street." I blinked, surprised. "I know it doesn't fix anything," she continued quickly, "but I'm trying to understand why I am the way I am. Why I was so cold to you growing up. Why I left Emma waiting." Her voice cracked. "Why I've spent my whole life pushing away the people I'm supposed to love." Emma tugged on my sleeve. "Mommy, can Grammy come to dinner with us?" I looked at my mother. She looked at me. "Not tonight, baby," I said gently, "but maybe soon." "Okay." Emma bounced off to show Laura her crown. My mother wiped her eyes. "I know I don't deserve another chance." "You don't," I agreed. "But Emma deserves a grandmother who shows up. So if you can be that person, really be that person, then we'll figure it out. One day at a time." She nodded, crying openly now. One day at a time. 3 months later, things aren't perfect. They may never be. But my mother now asks before showing up. She calls to check on Emma when she's sick. She apologizes when she's wrong. And when Emma needed someone to pick her up from art class last week because I was stuck in traffic, my mother arrived in 9 minutes. She didn't complain. She didn't make it about her. She just showed up. The silence wasn't revenge. It was a boundary. And from that boundary, we built something small, fragile, but real. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop talking and start protecting what matters. 3 days of silence changed everything. Because silence, I learned, can be the loudest form of love.